there's a comforting lie that almost every manager tells themselves at some point. It's usually like a Tuesday morning. You walk out of your office, you stand over the shop floor, and you look out.
You survey your kingdom.
Right, and you see people. You see bodies in seats, machines are humming, the lights are on. The logbook says everyone clocked in at 8 a.m. And you take this deep breath and you think, I've got this under control.
The illusion of control. It is one of the most dangerous drugs in business.
But is it really an illusion? I mean, if everyone's there and the machines are running, isn't that 90% of the battle?
It feels like the battle, and that's exactly why it's a trap. Because presence is not performance. Seeing a human being standing in a spot, well, it tells you absolutely nothing about value.
So you're saying, I know who is there, but I have no idea what is actually happening.
Precisely. You don't know if they're creating a masterpiece or if they're quietly, accidentally burning your money in a way you won't even find out about for another 3 days.
And that terrifying gap, the gap between Jeff is at work and Jeff is actually building the product correctly, that is exactly where we are going today. To do it, we're looking at a really fascinating set of materials about the origin of a software platform called AgiloBee.
But don't let the word software put you to sleep. This is not a story about coding in a garage.
No, not at all. It's a story about flour.
Yeah.
We are going to a bakery in Latvia.
An industrial bakery, to be clear.
So our mission today is to unpack how a sort of an undercover stint as a baker's apprentice exposed the messy reality of manufacturing and why the systems we use to manage people, logbooks, time clocks, are basically useless when things get chaotic.
It's a journey from dough to data, and it all starts with a very humble decision.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The founder of AgiloBee, we'll just call him our protagonist, he didn't start this company by looking at market research. He didn't build a slide deck. He did something that I think most tech founders would be, well, terrified to do.
You got a job.
He got a blue-collar job in a bakery in Latvia with zero experience. He just walks in, puts on the apron, and is told, okay, start working.
Which is already a huge risk. I mean, industrial baking isn't like making a few cookies at home. It is chemistry at scale.
And he hits a wall almost immediately. The source material says he was assigned to be trained by a colleague who only spoke Russian. Now, our guy understood Russian, so you'd think, okay, communication solved.
But it wasn't a language barrier. It was a nuance barrier.
Explain that. I mean, if they're speaking the same language, where's the disconnect?
Well, think about it. I can tell you the word for mix or oven me. That's just vocabulary. But in manufacturing, the language is process. It's the exact sequence. It's knowing that mix means mix for exactly 4 minutes at speed 2, but only if the temperature is below 20 degrees.
Ah, the small steps.
Exactly. The source material highlights this so well. In a factory, a small step isn't small at all. It's the difference between a pallet of perfect red and a pallet of total waste. If you don't get the nuance, you're dangerous.
And while he's trying to just survive this training, he starts looking around at how the bakery is actually managed. He's looking for that control that we were just talking about.
And what did he find?
He found a system that was obsessed with security, but completely blind to reality.
That sounds familiar.
They had logbooks. You had to sign in the second you arrived. You had to sign out when you left.
Okay.
They had security guards checking people's bags to make sure no one was stealing loaves of bread.
Right, so they locked down the perimeter. Standard stuff.
Standard stuff.
Yeah.
But the source makes this point that it hit me really hard. The system answered only one question. Was the person present?
The attendance trap all over again.
It totally failed to answer the question that actually pays the bills, which is, what did this person do for the 12 hours they were here?
And if you're the owner sitting up in your office, that logbook gives you this false sense of security. You see John, 12 hours. You assume, okay, John, 12 hours of production. But for all you know, John spent 6 of those hours making bad dough.
And we're not talking about some relaxed 9 to 5 here. The shifts were brutal, 10 to 15 hours long.
All driven by logistics, right?
Yeah. The trucks come in the morning. The orders have to be filled. You don't go home until the bread is baked. It's a total pressure cooker.
And that is the perfect breeding ground for mistakes. Fatigue plus pressure, that equals disaster.
So our protagonist is in this pressure cooker. He's learning the ropes. And then the production manager comes up to him. This is the real turning point. The manager asks, so how's it going?
A standard check-in.
Our guy says, I'm learning. It's okay. And the manager's face just lights up. He says, super. Soon you will be able to work alone.
He's just looking for a body to fill a slot on the roster.
Exactly. He wants to tick a box, shift covered. But this is where our protagonist does something completely unexpected. He refuses.
He says no to the promotion.
He says, I am not ready to work the whole shift alone.
Okay, now let me play devil's advocate for a second. Is he just being lazy? Is he just dodging responsibility here?
That's what I thought at first, too. But the source explains it so clearly. It wasn't laziness, it was fear. Specifically, it was fear of what he called the neighboring workshop scenario.
That sounds ominous. What was happening next door?
He'd been watching the other workshop, and he realized that if you put a beginner into a complex process without supervision, before they've mastered all those small steps, you don't just get a slow worker, you get a catastrophe.
He understood that his incompetence wouldn't just be neutral, it would be actively destructive.
He saw that one mistake in the early stage, like mixing the dough wrong, doesn't just disappear, it snowballs.
Let's really dig into that snowball effect, because this is where that whole illusion of control just shatters. What happens in that neighboring workshop when a newbie makes a mistake?
Well, the process is like a relay race. One person makes the dough, it rests, someone else shapes it, another person bakes it.
Right. And biology is the boss. The yeast is alive. It's not going to wait for you.
Exactly. So imagine our beginner mixes the water too hot. Now the dough rises way too fast. So the guys at the shaping table are completely overwhelmed because the dough is ready before they are.
You get a bottleneck.
A total panic bottleneck. And then the baker at the ovens can't bake it fast enough. The source describes several dozen ruined loaves in one shift.
Several dozen. That's inventory going straight into the trash can.
And this leads to maybe the biggest economic insight of this entire deep dive. I want to slow down here because this really changed how I look at business. The source talks about what happens to those ruined loaves.
So they just throw them away?
Sometimes. But often they try to reprocess them, grind them down into breadcrumbs or use them for animal feed. And management thinks, hey, good job, we saved it, we recycled.
We reduced the waste.
Right. But the author makes this point. And, this is not added value. This is resource for loss reduction.
That is such a critical distinction.
But wait, isn't saving money good? If I turn ruined bread into breadcrumbs that I can sell, I'm making money, right?
No. You have to think about the math. You already paid for the flour. You paid for the energy to bake the loaf. You paid the labor. Then you ruined it. That money is gone. Now you are paying more labor and more energy just to get a few cents back. You aren't building a business. You're paying your staff to apologize for their own mistakes.
Wow, that's brutal. You're just stopping the bleeding. You're not actually moving forward.
Exactly. Added value is when you take flour and time and create a perfect loaf that sells for full price. Anything else, fixing it, patching it, reprocessing it, that's just a tax on your incompetence.
But the manager, the guy with the clipboard, does he even see that?
No. And that's the tragedy. He just looks at the timesheet. He sees everyone worked 12 hours. He sees that some product went out the door. He doesn't see that 4 of those hours were spent on loss reduction instead of added value.
He's managing completely blind.
The source has this great phrase for it. It calls it managing by aftertaste.
I love that. Managing by aftertaste. What does that image even conjure up for you?
It means you're judging the meal after it's already been eaten. You're looking at the crumbs on the plate and saying, well, I guess that was dinner.
You aren't in the kitchen while it's being cooked. You're just reviewing the leftovers.
The manager only sees the symptoms at the end of the day. Why is the order short? Why is our payroll so high? Where did the profit just disappear?
So he asks why, and the workers just shrug and say, I don't know. It just happened.
And because there is no data, because the logbook only tracks attendance and not the process, it will happen again tomorrow. It's a permanent loop.
This is what they call the fog between the KPI and reality.
The destination is crystal clear, bake 1,000 loaves, but the journey is a complete fog of war.
So this is the problem. You have this bakery, which is really just a stand-in for any complex business where management thinks they're in control because of a logbook, but in reality, they're bleeding money through hidden mistakes and rework.
And the founder of AgiloBee, standing there covered in flour, he realized the solution wasn't work harder. The solution was turn on the lights.
Let's talk about AgiloBee, because usually when we talk about workplace management software, I either start to fall asleep or I get suspicious. It just sounds like surveillance.
A brother is watching.
Totally. But the source emphasizes the philosophy here is different. It says the goal is not to track people.
which is a very deliberate choice.
The goal is to make work visible.
And that shifts the focus from the person to the process. We're not watching you, we're watching the dough.
So how does it actually work in practice? The text mentions these stage 1 features, like QR codes. And to be honest, when I hear QR codes, I think of, restaurant menus. It feels passive.
And that's how they're usually used, beep, I was here. But AgiloBee uses what you could call contextual QR codes.
Okay, break that down for me. I'm the baker. I walk up to the big mixer. I scan the code. What happens next?
So in the old world, the scanner just beeps and logs, baker at mixer, 8 a.m., which is meaningless. In the AgiloBee system, when you scan that code, the system actually talks back to you. It looks at the production plan, the KPI, and it says, okay, it's 8 a.m., you're here to mix the sourdough, your target is 50 kilograms. And by the way, remember to check the water temperature because it's hot today.
Oh, I see. It's bridging that gap. It's taking the manager's plan from the clipboard and putting it right in front of the worker's face at the exact moment they need it.
Exactly. It removes the fog. You're not just present anymore. You are informed. You know exactly what a good result looks like for this specific task right now.
So it's an instruction tool, not just a tracking tool.
And it goes both ways. This is the planner feature. If the dough looks weird, the worker doesn't just shrug and ruin the whole batch. They can snap a quick photo or leave a comment in the app right there.
Like, hey, the dough is super sticky today for some reason.
And Boom Management sees that instantly. Not at 5 p.m. when the bread is already burnt. They see it right now.
The source calls this the many eyes effect.
Which is brilliant. Instead of one manager running around trying to police 20 people, you have 20 people all acting as sensors for the process. If a problem comes up, everyone can see it. You can swarm the problem before it becomes one of those neighboring workshop disasters.
That completely changes the manager's job, doesn't it?
Completely. You stop being a forensic investigator trying to figure out what went wrong yesterday, and you start being a captain who is steering the ship in real time.
And I'm guessing there's an accounting benefit here too, right? The boring part?
The necessary part, because the system is tracking the work. I mixed 50 kilograms of dough. And not just the time, it automatically generates the reports for accounting. No more Friday afternoons trying to read the handwriting in some greasy logbook to figure out who gets paid what.
It's the difference between guessing and knowing.
It's the difference between aftertaste and data.
It's funny. We started this deep dive talking about a piece of technology, but we really ended up talking about psychology and economics.
It's always about psychology at the end of the day.
The founder didn't build this because he loved QR codes. He built it because he felt that anxiety of not knowing what he was doing. He felt the fear of the neighboring workshop.
That's the undercover boss advantage, right? He felt the pain of the problem himself, personally. He realized that a logbook doesn't help a confused apprentice make good bread. Only clear information can do that.
And that brings us right back to where we started, that illusion of control.
It's shattered.
So if you're listening to this and you run a team or a business or even just a project at home, ask yourself, what are you actually measuring?
Are you measuring attendance? Are the bodies in the room?
Or are you measuring value? Is the work actually getting done correctly?
Because if you can't see the difference between added value and loss reduction, if you can't tell the difference between baking bread and just grinding up crumbs, you have a blind spot.
And that blind spot is incredibly expensive.
It's where all the profit goes to die.
So stop managing by aftertaste. Turn on the lights and see what's actually happening.
And maybe, just maybe, you can save the bread before it burns.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you on the next one.